Sorry guys, one moment. So welcome back guys to another video of Shadow Slave. Today we are going to read chapter 2974, Vessel of Death. In the last chapter, Sunny attempted the sixth I'm sorry I'm sorry Sunny attempted the sixth step of the shadow dance, where he was going to mimic the slaying blade ability of Soul Serpent, and let's see where it takes him. So, the chapter 2974, named Vessel of Death. Let's start. Keeping his identity from being lost with the help of the chain, Sunny channeled the essence of Serpent and assumed its form. Actually, the form of Soul Serpent was the opposite of what these words usually mean. It was a state of utter formlessness inherent to the shadows, and therefore the reason why they could take any shape. Sunny found it surprisingly easy to assume that shapelessness form. After all, there were a lot of parallels between him and Serpent, as well as between the powers they wielded, for a good reason. Serpent was unique among Sunny's shadows. Sunny had earned the rest of them in a variety of ways, most of them involving slaying the original, the Stone Stained, the Ravenous Fiend, Nightmare, Slayer, the Modern Mimic. As such, his shadows come from creatures he had met and killed. But Serpent was different. He had been given to Sunny by the Nightmare spell as a reward for mastering the first step of Shadow Dance, and was therefore a remnant from the times when Shadow God ruled the realm of death. It was also being born a shadow creature, as opposed to becoming one after its original was destroyed. As such, Serpent was closer to the ideal of a true shadow than anyone else, and Sunny, as the person who had inherited his aspect from a divine shadow, was walking the path to become such a creature himself. So he managed to shadow Serpent with surprising ease. It almost felt natural. The feeling of something vital missing did not bother Sunny this time either, like it had when he was trying to replicate Slayer. Sunny channeled the power of the Soul Serpent, turning himself into a weapon capable of slaying deities. The nameless sovereign of death became the slaying blade, and wielded himself to kill the loathsome terror who had stolen his name and his fate. I am going to kill you, Wrench. Driven mad by pain and almost destroyed, his essence running dry, Sunny growled and redoubled his vicious assault on the wounded, bleeding thieving bird. This time he felt the difference. His will did not change, and it didn't grow more potent either. However, the ability to express it became much more refined and pure, as if his nebulous body had become the perfect vessel for channeling death. As a result, the same amount of effort yielded far greater results, affecting the wild thieving bird and its daunting vitality far more than it had before. The thieving bird struck a hint of discomfort, nervousness even, finding its way into the odious creature's harrowing voice for the first time. And just like Sunny, it redoubled its effort to destroy the eerie things clinging to its feathers like as well. Sunny groaned, feeling his soul coming undone. He laughed, feeling the body of thieving birds stuttered in the deadly darkness of his inescapable embrace. Die, 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 you abominable thing. The two of them plummeted through the maze of broken time, straining to destroy each other. Various eras and places on the great river flashed past Sunny, barely registering in his blazed, frenzied mind. He saw a great city being besieged by an Azure Serpent and his army. He saw Stone Island rising from the depths to answer the call of a beautiful philosopher. He saw a delicate body in a flowing silk shroud being lowered into the water as countless people cried, seeing her off on the last journey. Sunny's nebulous body had become tattered and small, seemingly ready to fall apart, but at the same time, the wild thieving bird was growing weaker. Its vitality was swiftly being drained as the poison of death filled, permeated it, while its strength was diminishing. Its movements had already slowed down considerably, and its attacks grew less confident. But it was still alive and not showing any signs of being ready to die. Damn it, die, die. Why won't you die, you wretched horror? The wild thieving bird answered with a pained, panicked cry. Even if it was not on the threshold of death, it seemed to have grown wary of Sunny. In the next moment, they broke through another fissure and found themselves in a chaos so violent and inconceivable that Sunny almost lost consciousness for a moment. All around them, a fractured darkness was being ravaged by a terrifying storm. Devastating rain fell upon them, and bolts of lightning flashed nearby, making the air crackle. Worst of all, the laws of existence seemed to be broken in this terrifying place. Reality was completely twisted, its sharp edges cutting into Sunny's mind like endlessly flowing blade. At first, he thought that they had failed to escape the broken eternity that dwelled in the gaps between the fissures, but this place was much more. Wait a minute. And I'm always getting interrupted in intense moments, man. I hate it, but what can we do? Let's continue. Okay. All around them, a fractured darkness was being ravaged by a terrifying storm. Devastating rain fell upon them, and bolts of lightning flashed nearby, making the air crackle. Worst of all, the laws of existence seemed to be broken in its terrifying place. Reality was completely twisted, its sharp edges cutting into Sunny's mind like endlessly flowing blades. At first, he thought that they had failed. At first, he thought that they had failed to escape the broken eternity that dwelt in the gaps between the fissures. But this place was much more violent, much more unstable, much more devastating. A time storm. The thought flashed through his mind and disappeared, erased by the maddening wrongness of the terrifying expanse of the twisted time around them. All his other thoughts disappeared as well. Thoughts about the past, the future, the present. Thoughts about how close he was to being destroyed and what would happen if he were killed by the wild thieving bird. Sunny had banished them himself, leaving space for only one thought in his mind, the thought of killing the thieving bird instead. Its body was riddled with wounds by then, just like his. It was in pain and suffering under the strain of the vicious battle, just like he was. Sunny growled and shaped himself into an onyx serpent coiled around the wild thieving bird's body and shrinking his fangs into the deep wounds on his neck. Death flowed through them into the very heart of its soul, poisoning the 6 notes of revolting darkness pulsing there like abyssal cores. And then finally, he felt the wild thieving bird stutter. He was finally afraid of him, it seemed. So the wild thieving bird did what it always did. Even if nothing about Sunny was shiny and desirable, it stole from him. The first thing that thieving bird stole his desire to kill it. Suddenly, the dreadful fury that had been raging in Sunny's heart disappeared. His bloodlust receded, leaving behind only a cold sense of exhaustion. His hatred was gone, replaced by indifference. What? Sunny still knew that he had to kill the thieving bird and remembered all the reasons why it had to die. But now there was no emotion attached to that knowledge, no personal meaning, no hope, no fear, no desire. And when one thing that Kitty 3 does is that he take abilities to a next level and a very scary level as well. Oh, where was I? Yes, he pressed his jaws tighter together, straining to strangle the wild thing bird and crush its neck. So the next thing it stole was his reason. Suddenly, Sunny could not remember why he needed to kill the wild thieving bird. There seemed to be no cause to wish it harm, and no possible way to arrive at such an intention logically. No matter how he thought about it, the act of attacking a cursed terror seemed woefully irrational and unprovoked. It was pure folly. His jaws grew slack a little. As the time storm raged around them, Sunny hesitated for a moment and then tore into the thieving bird's neck once more, his fang growing slick with blood. This time he was acting on pure instinct, an instinct of a carrier of the spell who was confronted by the nightmare creature. He knew that is his enemy. He knew that his enemy made a mistake. Stupid beast. Even if his desire to kill the thieving bird was gone, rendering his killing intent weak and inefficient, the loathsome terror was in a worse situation. That was because the thieving bird stole things, not destroying them. No, not destroyed them. So, having stolen from Sunny, it was now in possession of the things it had stolen. His desire to kill it and his logical reasons to do so. So now the thieving bird suddenly wanted to die and was convinced that it had to be killed. What the hell? What the hell? As a result, its will to live plummeted, becoming even weaker than Sunny's instinctual impulse to attack the nightmare creature in front of him. Opening its dreadful beak, the thieving bird let out a deafening shriek. It was dying. Sunny was dying as well. The problem was that he was dying faster than the wild thieving bird, even after everything he had done. His efforts were proven to be not enough. And this was also cinema, absolute cinema. Because, man, that's crazy, man. Because he stole Sunny's will to kill the wild thieving bird. Now it was his will to kill the wild thieving bird, and the wild thieving bird was himself, so he wanted to die. That's crazy, crazy. But it was still not enough. We are still missing something, and I think that something is Nephis. When Nephis comes back, the wild thieving bird is going to die, and we are going to fight the wild thieving bird spawn. Like the next 10 chapters. I think it's going to be like when Sunny fought the ravenous fiend in Antarctica. The last fist fist brawl of survival, something like that, because they are not coming out of this fight quite well. Let's be honest, they are going to be damaged, they are going to be weak coming out of this fight. So if they are going to fight the spawn as well, it's going to take much more effort and much more tactics. So that's it for the video, and if you like this type of content, please do like, share and subscribe. And I do LOTM reactions as well as I am going to perform live streams when I hit 100 subs. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.